Hello YouTube, this is Two back at you with some more Echoes of Mana. And one of the big questions that I've been seeing going around, in the Discord and on Reddit and whatnot, is who should you be polling for? And I want to tell you, this is not your typical video about who you should poll for, because I actually think that right now, with what's going on, I think we need to take a look at more in depth about the game and make some decisions about some future banners that are coming up. And that's when you should think about, okay, should I spend now, or my gems now, or should I wait? And I think the first thing we need to take a look at is all the different weapon types and the characteristics that each of these weapons have that are in the game, that I'm sure some of us haven't even looked at this because we haven't used any of these weapon types yet. And I think that's going to be a big thing. Now, over on the FAQ site that I've talked about before, there's still a link in the description for that. They have a list of the weapon types and the characteristics. And let's just do like a quick run through on that so that we're aware. We know about sword grants super armor, okay? It helps you to not get knocked down, and therefore keeping you in the fight and being able to continue doing damage and being able to move. Great. That's what sword users are. We know that. This also details the type of damage that each of those weapons will do. So if you're looking at pairing them with different sort of gems and stuff like that, okay, we know that the slash damage one, that's what a sword is. So as we're going through that, you can take note of that along the way. Now, knife users, apparently it's easier to achieve combos through normal attacks. So that's going to be another type of weapon that you're going to really want to focus on, is if you're building for combos. Gloves, attack speed increasing according to the combo number. So this might be a good sort of unit to pair with these knife users who are building your combos up, and then you can switch in a glove unit and you have all this increasing attack speed based off of that combo number. We know pole arms. We currently have at least one pole arm user in the game that's a 4-star. And if you didn't know, if you use the little evade button down there at the bottom of the screen, it deals normal attacks while you're evading forward. So Reese is also a special with that, and she can create some more combos. I think it's a 3-hit when she does it. Let's see here. The next one, Axe. This says tap and hold to fill the STK gauge during battle. Great. I think there's going to be some unique things that we can do with Axe users when it comes to charging ST gauges. So that'll be really interesting. But currently, no 4-star Axe user for us to be in the top of our minds to try and use out. Bow has the furthest attack distance. We keep talking about how good Popo is, because he's got his boomerang, and boomerangs do have good distance, but bows are supposed to be the furthest distance to kind of keep you away from that battle and just keep hitting on the boss there. So I think a bow unit would be really nice addition, especially on some of these fights that have a lot of mechanics up near the boss and you're looking to try and get some distance. I wonder if a bow unit might be actually a really good AI unit if they're going to stay far enough back and you just have them attack maybe the closest target or something like that. We'll have to see with that. I haven't tested bow users out myself. I know I'm looking at, I think her name's Sarah or something like that, the first part of it. She's a bow user that I'm looking at probably just kind of testing around playing with. So boomerangs, once again, it has good distance, but it also, the normal attacks will pierce through enemies before returning back to the ally, so that's really neat if you're got mobs all clumped together there. And then we have a couple staff users, and it's the same with the flail, that their normal attacks restore MP in small amounts. This is actually one of the things that that we're kind of like complaining about as a community, is that these staff units are like the squishiest units, and they're running up there beating to try and get some MP back, and then they end up just dying. So that you might want to take into account, or like, oh, well, maybe that passive risk really isn't like the best one that we want to be using in these circumstances. But now that we've kind of just taken a brief look at the different weapon types, let's look at what we currently have in our 4-star pool of characters. Not that 2-star units and 3-star units aren't great, but I do think that they're going to get power crept quickly as 4-star versions of these elements and weapons come out. That being said, don't discount them here in the early game and just not build any. In fact, my suggestion is going to be is looking at the list of the different weapon types. If there's one that kind of appeals to you that we don't have, a 4-star version of yet, or that you don't have that particular 4-star yet, I would recommend doing some testing and investment into that 3-star or 2-star unit to see if you like the way that gameplay works for you on your account. That way you're a little bit ahead of the game when a unit does come out that's a 4-star and you say, you know what, I really enjoyed a bow user. I'd like to, see about getting a 4-star version of one. So let's look here. We currently have 8 4-star or higher rarity units. What I mean by higher is we do have the Chrism Wizard. He's a natural 5-star, and he's also basically free as long as you can clear the content of the tower, which isn't necessarily the easiest thing to do. But I imagine if you've been working on your account pretty steadily for 2-3 weeks, that you should be able to get there, or at least be close to that. So if you look here, one of the things that really stands out to me is, we have 2 fire units, we have 2 wind units, we have 4 sword units, 2 staff units. So out of all the different sort of weapon types, it feels like we're very heavy on swords. And I think they did this for a reason. I think they wanted to give us 4 units that were more in the melee sort of fray, with the idea that at least 3 of these all have super armor as a skill to be able to tank some of that. I believe, does Keldric have it as well? Let me check real quick. Yes, he has super armor as well. I knew that. So, we have these 4, sword units. So my recommendation is if they come out with another sword unit, why would we want to roll on that? I mean, at the end of the day, if you love a character that's coming out, then just, that's something you're going to want to roll for anyway, regardless of what else is going on. But in my opinion, we have 4 sword users at 4-star. Don't be looking to roll for another sword unit. And at least until we start filling out some of these other ones. And you gotta think, in the standard pool, if Keldric goes into there after his banner's going away, or even now, there's 3 sword units in there that even if you're rolling for a different unit that's not a sword user, you're still going to have that off-banner chance of getting more sword users. So, in my opinion, sword users are out for me. Now, along with that, we don't currently have any 4-star versions of Wood or Moon. In fact, we only have the 1 unit in each one. And so those will be an interesting element to see when they come in a 4-star flavor. And I would think that since they are pretty rare, that whatever kind of weapon type they come with, I think I'm going to be interested in. Pending that it's not sword. Just because I think we have too many of those. I have too many of those. I currently have 3 out of those 4 units. And I don't have any more room for units in melee. Along with that, like, Reese is a polearm user as well, so she's in melee all the time. And then we have our 2 staff users that are there that, as we looked at, they run in to get MP, so they're at least on auto, if you're not switching them out, are running up into melee as well. So we have too many people running up, potentially getting hit by bosses and other mobs and whatnot that we just don't want to have to deal with. So, looking at this, let's try and fill holes in our account. So you're going to have to look at this and say, okay, well, I have these units and not these units. So what's going to be the best bang for my buck here? And like I said, we have at least 5 of these units that are on the normal standard banner. Actually, 6 of these units are on the normal standard banner, and one of them's free. And then I'm not sure, we're not sure if Keldric's going to jump in there or not. But so I would cautious and say, you know, I have access to a fire unit. I have access to off banner, wind unit, and sword users of each of these elements. So take those things into account when you're looking at what you're going to pull next. I feel like I'm going to get in the weeds here, but I think you know what I'm looking at here is look at what element the unit's going to be and fill that hole in your account. So right now, my account does not have a water unit. I haven't pulled Angela, and I also don't have Popo. So I'm missing a boomerang unit, and I'm missing a water unit for sure. So if the next unit that comes out is you know, a boomerang unit and a water unit, that's definitely going to be something that I'm going to be interested in, because I get two things that I don't have on my account currently, and that's really what I'm striving for here as recommendations on what to pull. Is let's build out our accounts based off of elements that we're missing and weapon types that we're missing, instead of looking purely at the kit of the individual unit and saying, oh, well, that kit works in these situations. They probably do. You know, in all honesty, that probably does. Kildrick is not a bad unit. He's going to work just fine. But he's also a very redundant unit for me on my account right now, having 3 other sword units and already have a wind unit. So that, to me, is a no-go. I'm going to spend my gems on an element I don't have, or at least a weapon type that I don't have. And so I think some of the big ones to me that I'm looking forward to, as far as a weapon type, definitely like a bow user. I'd like to see a 4-star of that. And so since that's something I'm looking forward to, I'm going to use Sarah and just, you know, in the background and try and get a feel and say, you know what, I actually do really like bow units, so I'm definitely going to try that when it comes. So I hope this wasn't too wordy for you guys, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents about just a general account building sort of methodology that's in my head, and give it to you guys so you can help kind of make decisions about your own account. That way, that, you know, when you have those questions of, oh, should I pull for X unit or Y unit, then you can kind of go through this and say, all right, well, I have this element already, or I have that weapon type already, so let's go with this one over here. Thanks for listening, and that's my 2 cents.